All right. Hi, Sofie. How are you?
Hi, Johnson. I'm good. How are you?
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, same here. I mean, it's been a while.
It has
since
been
we
a
made
while.
the first
Yeah,
video.
it's been a while.
Like a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, something like that. Definitely.
Yep. And your video, the number of views is pretty crazy. Right
Yeah,
now.
I've noticed.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, there's nothing to do with you being able to speak 6 languages. It's all about the shirt that I was wearing.
Obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, it was
what
all
it's
me.
all about.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that video is all about me, and I want this video to be about me too. But
Of course. I mean, you are the 주인공. You are the the main role
that's
here.
the spirit. All right. So I looked through your blog,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah,
and you talked about 7 principles
I do.
of learning languages. And obviously, as somebody who speaks 6 languages and has been learning Korean for a year and a half,
Yeah.
and speaking, pretty amazingly, I have to say. And I guess I have to listen to you, and I want a lot of people to listen to you too, what you have to say.
Yeah.
So we are trying to cover all those 7 principles of language learning.
Right.
So let's start with the first one.
So
What's the first one?
Yeah, the first principle of language learning is that when you start learning a new language, you have to focus on the core of the language. You have to focus on the most common, most important words and phrases. There's no point in starting off day one, starting to learn, expert phrases or, language that only appears in newspapers and the very special sections, something like that. You want to start out with the basics like, how to greet people, how to introduce yourself, how to ask simple questions and describe, simple things in your daily life. So really everyday language is what I want to call it. That's where you have to start. Because after all, that's what we mostly talk about in any language, even our native language, right? These simple things.
Of course. Yeah. Like, I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Right? Give me something.
Yeah. Food and your hobbies.
Yeah, I mean,
your house.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We don't have to start speaking about earwax. in detail. No one really starts speaking a language that way.
Right.
Yeah. But I have a question for you. So I guess that piece of advice, start with the core. Start building the core first.
Right.
That applies to beginners, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So for an absolute beginner who's just being introduced to the language itself, he or she might wonder, hey, there's so many words to know, and there's so many expressions to know to be able to have conversation with native speaker. That's true. Which is, a goal for many people, for most of people actually.
Definitely. That's the point of learning a language.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But I assume that their problem is, hey, there are so many words to know, so many structures to know, to understand.
Right.
And this core body of the language, which is no more than, 100 words, 200 words, in their mind, it might seem a tiny bit of what they really have to learn. So they might think of it as pointless, I guess. What's the point of knowing very few words, a handful of words, if my goal is reaching that level?
Right.
What would you say to them?
It's really simple because no matter what you want to learn, you have to start at some point. And these simple words and phrases are simply the starting point from where you can go to your desired level. And what is key when you want to learn a language is keeping motivation, really. And if you start from the top, I mean, there's no way you can start from the top. You have to build a solid foundation on which you can, or you have to construct a foundation on which you can build your knowledge of the language. And it just makes sense that you start with these simple phrases because, first of all, they're fairly easy to learn. They're easy to remember because they're phrases that you will use almost every day. And when you learn that, you will automatically become more and more motivated because you will find that, okay, I can learn this. This is actually fun. I can express myself in this and that way. And all of a sudden, you will feel that you're longing to learn more of this language and your interest will just increase. So it's just a matter of, no matter where you're going, you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And
it's
and there's nothing that will be useless in language learning. What would be useless is starting by learning vocabulary you will never ever use. I recently saw a flashcard on a blog with the word badger, the animal, the badger. And I was just I don't think I ever even said that in my native language. I mean, I know the word, but why would I ever need a flashcard for that? It's not something I would, I don't want to, there's no need to, waste memory in that word. Focus on the core. Start with the basics and build from there. That will give you the most solid foundation overall.
I guess you're right. The animal names, since you brought that up.
Yeah.
Every basic level textbook for any language, it always covers like a list of animals.
Right.
Like 10, 20.
When do you ever say those?
I think it's pretty useless. Yeah, I know. Right? We never talk about giraffes or hippo in daily conversations.
We don't.
Yeah. We might talk about vodka, but never
That's different.
hippo.
That's different.
So, it's very different. Cool. All right. So any advice for people who are about to start building the core for Korean?
We're about to start building the core advice.
Of Korean.
Of Korean language. I definitely want to say start by learning how to introduce yourselves. Start by learning how to ask and answer very simple questions related to your daily life. And learning these sentences, try to switch out some of the words, because if you do that, you can easily build a lot of sentences. So be creative with the core, because then you can easily make it into, they don't have to necessarily make sense, you just have to be creative with the language. And then you can actually very, very easily build hundreds of sentences. And that will, from day one, actually give you the power over the language, and you will automatically become much more curious and want to learn more.
Cool, cool. All right, great tip, great advice. This gold comes out of your mouth, so that's fantastic. So we are about to switch to the Korean mode of the conversation. We're going to cover the same point. And to the viewers out there, if you're going to keep watching, then move on to the Korean version too, and see how amazing, not me, but she is in terms of speaking Korean. So, all right, hey, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the Korean conversation.
Let's.
All right, cool.